Gotham Season 3, Episode 3, Look Into My Eyes. Really awesome episode introducing the Mad Hatter, who, of course, has a sister named Alice, which I kind of appreciated that. But we get a really dark version of the Mad Hatter where he, takes over people and he makes them do crazy stuff and he steals this dude's home, has him kill his wife, and then he's like, alright, bury her and kill yourself, by the way. And he kind of rushes him too, which I thought was funny. He's like, I want you to bury her in the backyard and kill yourself. Chop, chop. And I was like, he's rushing him to kill himself, and I just thought that was so funny. But I thought we got a cool version of the Mad Hatter. I thought it was pretty interesting. And I love what they did with Barbara. That was amazing, where he's like, fall madly in love with me. And as soon as he's like, but what if I can't, love you back? And they just show Tabitha, and she's just like, like crap, he messed up on that one. And she just breaks a glass, and she's about to kill him. That scene, that was probably the best scene in the whole episode. That was amazing to me. But I love what they did with this, and we got a really cool villain. Pretty crazy surprise at the end. I wasn't expecting that one. But I'm excited to see where they take it. But this is a fun episode where they introduce a lot of interesting stuff. We have Mad Hatter, who's actually still going to be in the next episode, which I thought was nice. They have his sister, whose blood, infects people and turns them into, raging monsters, which is why she set fire to the restaurant. And why she almost shot Jim, she was like, did his blood get on you? So she's almost like a carrier for a virus. And, well, she is really. And it can spread through the people that she infects. And she doesn't believe that even cleaning it off the surface is good enough. She won't take that risk. So, that's why she burns down the guy's restaurant. And that's why she has to kill the dude that kissed her on the mouth and stuff. So I thought that was interesting. I was like, okay, I don't know what exactly they're really going to be doing with her character in this next episode, but she does end up helping Jim out by the end of it, and she wants to stay away from her brother, who seems to have a ton of control over Jim based on the promo, even though he just did the one thing where he was going to have him walk off the building. It seems like that control kind of stays in Jim's subconscious for the next episode, and that kind of has me excited. And I believe they showed Thatch with a few other characters as well. So I'm excited to see how far they push his character in this next episode. But I like what they did with him as a villain, and what they have with Jim, which kind of leads to at least alluding a little bit to the Poison Ivy stuff, where it's like, okay, he's at least going to be on the lookout for her because he talked with Selena. So they kind of mention that a little bit, and they'll have that coming back. And then we have Five. We now get an official name for this Bruce Wayne clone, Five. He, by the end of the episode, decides that he wants to replace Bruce, at least a little bit. He decides that he's going to take off. He cut his own hair and everything. He finds out that he actually doesn't feel pain. Like, he burns himself, he doesn't feel it. When they're boxing with Alfred, and Alfred got a little pissed off, he punched him and his nose started bleeding, but he didn't feel any of the pain. So, not sure where they're taking that, or, what that might tie to. I feel like there's a million possibilities with it being Batman, but because, of course, it's young Batman, I don't really know exactly what to expect from it. It could just be something that they're making. It could also, there are a million things I'm not 100% familiar with from, the Batman universe. So it could be one of those things that I don't get the reference just yet. A lot of people thought it was like Hush and stuff like that, which I know that would be too early. Plus, that's a totally different character as well. But I don't know. This character, he mentions, I woke up in Indian Hill. I don't remember anything before that. They did experiments. I heard the other people, but never really saw them until we all broke out. So we still don't really know what the deal is with this character. He goes and he meets Selena, and that's kind of his one attachment because she helped him, and he knows that she, talks to Bruce, so he can at least have someone that he can talk to. And they might end up looking for Ivy as well. I feel like that might be something that they end up doing in the next episode. But I am curious how long this character is going to last, how it's going to play out. I assume pretty early start, but I kind of figured at some point this character was going to be used as a pseudo replacement for Bruce, and I think it might just come from Five himself, because I initially thought that maybe the Court of Owls would somehow find out that, our clone is free. We can just flat out get rid of Bruce. And that still could happen, especially with him kind of running around now. Like, oh, I'm Bruce Wayne. I'll just run around and do what I want. That might actually still lead to that same situation where they capture him and they realize he's the clone. And it's like, oh, well, you want his life and we want him out of the way. So, let's team up. So that could easily still happen. And I don't know where Selena would fit into all that. Maybe she'd get captured with him. and that would be how they find out that they're trying to kill Bruce, all this extra stuff. But I am excited to see where they take this character. And then the kind of surprise thing in this episode, for me at least, Penguin wanting to run for office, or I guess the first big surprise was Penguin running for office and feeling like he's the man to make the city better. And he kind of had his big thing, with the Fish Mooney stuff, and the GCPD saying like these people are victims and all this stuff, and he's like, no, these people are freaks and animals, and we need to take them out before they take us out. So he's got a little bit of a rally going behind him, and he decides, I'm gonna test against the current mayor because there's no one else to do it. So we need elections, like emergency elections right now, and I'm throwing my hat in the ring. So I like that idea. I don't know where they're gonna take it, but I'm very excited to see it. I love the fact that this is how they decided to get the Riddler out, but he decides that he needs Riddler, I guess, on his team because he's a genius. So he gets Riddler out, and that has me excited because in the promo they have a scene with Butch where he pulls a gun on Riddler, and I can't remember what Riddler may have done to Butch, but I don't know. Butch has issues with a lot of different people for a lot of different reasons, so it's something I probably forgot. Or he could just have pissed him off. I mean, that could easily happen as well. So I'm excited to see what they do with that. We got Penguin and Riddler teaming up as friends again, and that had me excited. I love that scene too when he gets out, and just as Riddler's asking the scientist, he's like, I don't mean to look a gift horse in the mouth. And then the car pulls up, and the way Penguin came out the window just made me laugh because it was just very cartoony. And they're both just have huge smiles on their faces, like we're murderers and stuff, and we're back together like best friends who kill a bunch of people. That's how they were smiling, like, oh, it's my buddy, and we're gonna do some crazy stuff together. So I kind of love that idea, and I'm excited to see where they take the two of them together for an even longer period of time, because in the last season it was a very specific thing, like this is why they were together, and now it's kind of open. It's not like, oh, I'm on the run and I'm doing this and I'm trying to hide here. It's like, nope, I'm doing this and I got you out. You're sane now. Everything that happened before was when you were insane, and now we're just gonna go nuts. And I'm sure it's of course gonna start off fairly legit, but even if he becomes mayor, and that's something that they do, which I think they will. I think he'll actually be mayor, but I don't think he'll give up that power of actually being the Penguin. I don't know where they're gonna take it, but I'm sure it'll start very legit, and then it'll kind of go downhill at some point. Somebody will probably come in and take over as mayor just through a natural course of time, and who knows how that'll play out, what that'll lead to after they do the legit thing. And it's like, well, that's we teamed up for that, and now we're kind of just back doing the normal thing, and it could get really nuts. So I'm excited to see where they take it. And then the stuff with Lee in this episode was pretty crazy. Jim finds out that she's back in town. It was kind of a big question for me, like, is she back in town? Because the way they did it with her coming off the train by herself, it was like, is she back in town by herself? Did she leave that guy? Was there something that we didn't actually see? But I mentioned before, like, she definitely made out with that dude when Jim went up to the house and everything. So she was with that guy. And I was like, did she break up with that guy? Is she still with that guy? They just got there at different times. Is she going to work at the GCPD, which I figured we were going to see. And not only does she decide to go back to the GCPD, but she's still with this guy who is a doctor. And this dude turns out to be Falcone's son, which was nuts to me. I love that scene. It was cool to see Falcone come back because I actually liked him from the first season. But the way they played it out, and she comes back and they have their conversation with each other, Lee and Jim, I mean. And he's like, she's back in town. That kind of sucks for him. And then after dealing with the restaurant guy, who I thought that guy was kind of a douchebag because he was super pissed at Jim, and Jim's like, alright, well, I'm looking for her, and then he got super pissed off at Jim, like he knew the girl, or like he was the one that set the place on fire. I was like, I don't know why he's so mad at him, and he's talking about teaching him manners and stuff, and I'm like, he's just looking for this girl, and he's like, alright, I'm gonna leave now. So I didn't that guy was so confusing to me. I was like, I don't know why he was so pissed off at him. But after getting hit in the head and still beating that guy up, he has to get stitches from this random doctor, and this dude turns out to be Lee's fiance, soon-to-be husband. And they had an interesting scene when they were at dinner, when Lee was with their fiance. I thought it was weird when he's like, you never told him my name and stuff. And the first thing I thought was, why would she? Like, why would she even remotely say who you are, anything like that? Like, why would that matter? Why would anybody say that? Like, oh, yeah, X, this is exactly who my, soon-to-be husband is, so this is who you gotta hate. Like, why would anybody ever do that? So I thought it was weird when he said that when they were at dinner, like, he didn't tell him, anything about me. I was like, why would she? Like, that's dumb. That doesn't make any sense. But kind of goes through, and maybe that's why he said it was because he's Falcone's son. Maybe that's why he mentioned that, like, oh, you didn't tell him anything about me. He might try to step up, and then some other bad stuff might end up happening to him. So that might be why he said it. But when he first mentioned it, I was like, that's kind of dumb. Why would anybody say that? But when your fiance has, your soon-to-be husband has some very serious connections, especially when those connections are also personal connections of Jim, that could be something that you might mention, like, hey, just so you know, in case you want to freak out later, don't, because people, like, put a bag over your head and dump you in the water. So the way they do it, it's simple. It starts off simple enough, as most things do in television, but Falcone comes in and he's like, you being so pretty might make men do stupid things. And she's like, you mean Jim? And he's like, mm-hmm. And of course she says, like, everything's fine. He knows the deal. We talked, we're cool, everything's fine. Naturally, that's how it's going to be in the beginning. But there's no reason to make that guy Falcone's son without making that an issue. It might not exactly be the issue we expect, with it being that Jim is going to eventually want to be with Lee, or she'll want to be with him, who knows. But something's going to come of this guy being Falcone's son. It might not even be the Jim, it might not have anything to do with their relationship, but there's going to be some part of this storyline this season where him being Falcone's son is going to matter a lot. And I don't know if Falcone is going to be in the season a lot, because the big thing about him leaving was like, I'm getting out of here because it's freaking nuts. So I don't know if he's back in town for, for sure, just permanently, or how they're going to do it, if he's just like a special guest character where he comes in every couple episodes. But something good is going to happen with that. I'm actually really excited to see where they go with it. But I definitely enjoyed this episode. Like I said, I am really excited to see where they take the Mad Hatter, because I think he was a good villain for this one. I like the way they did it. It was very simple. That's kind of his thing, where he hypnotizes people. They didn't do a lot with, they didn't do nearly as much as the Alice in Wonderland stuff as I expected, but they did at least throw it in there that his sister's name, of course, is Alice. He has, the pocket watch. Being a hypnotist, he has a pocket watch, which makes me personally think of the rabbit from Alice in Wonderland. But I like this character. Very deadly, just like they've done with the other characters, Penguin and Riddler. They start off simple and they get deadly. He just started off killing people. It's like, all right, I made these people make animal noises, and then this dude, I made him kill his wife and then kill himself, and now I have their house, while I'm in town, basically. So I like how dark they made him kind of early on, and he's really creepy and stuff. They do the little scene where when the wife actually does end up running into him, and he's just saying, he's rhyming for whatever reason in the hallway. Nobody needs to do that except for the creep factor, but they had him do it, and it worked. As far as I was concerned, it worked. So I like what they did with this character this episode. I'm very curious what they're going to do with his sister not wanting to be around him. And she tried to kill him, too. She was trying to shoot the crap out of him. She just wasn't a great shot, so he survived. But I don't know if either of them are going to make it. I feel like she might do something, like, to force him to be evil. I don't, because with the show being the way it is, they've made it where certain characters haven't lived, like when they did the Falcone, Maroni stuff before. Maroni wasn't, Maroni does exist when Bruce is Batman, so they've done stuff like, they've changed things up where characters, die earlier than they actually should have if it were like the normal canon universe. So don't know if the Mad Hatter will actually survive or not. Maybe he'll end up, in Arkham or something like that, and we'll get to see more of Arkham this season. And we did get introduced to it a little bit, because they had the guy that Penguin bribed, like, you can either do this and I'll make you this thing, or, I can make you disappear. So we got to see a little bit more of Arkham and who's in control, at least at this current juncture. So they might kind of send him there, and we get a little bit more of what's happening in Arkham, and just him doing weird stuff there to try to escape, maybe. I don't know. But I like this episode. They introduced some really good concepts, and I'm super excited to see what's going to happen with this Penguin thing, as well as the Lee marrying into the Falcone family. That should be pretty exciting as well. And plus, we got the clone going around. We still have the Court of Owls. They made their deal, but I'm sure somehow this clone is going to get spotted, and they're going to realize that it's not just Bruce, they're two different Bruces. So I'm expecting them to come back for sure. I don't think that they're just gone, like this deal happened and everything's perfect. They're going to come back, and we'll probably see Lucius in the next episode because they brought him up. Like, he'll probably know what to do with the whole clone thing going on. So, excited to see Lucius. I just like Lucius. He's really funny to me. Like, he's so smart, sarcastic. It's really enjoyable. But excited for the next episode. Definitely want to know what you guys thought about this one, though. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And I actually want to know what you guys think is going to come of the whole Falcone thing. It really surprised me. I thought it would just be, she's back in town. She's got this new guy, and it would just be a way to make things a bit awkward, and maybe he would die at some point. That's sort of a typical thing where it's like, oh, this is the new guy, and I love him so much, and then he's dead, and then it's a really weird relationship where it's like now they can be back together, but they don't get back together, but they do like 2 years down the line, something like that. That could easily still happen. But I want to know what you guys think will happen with this. I don't know if they're going to go the more obvious route with the Jim stuff, with Jim really wanting to get back together. I really can't tell if that's how they're going to take it, or if it's going to go a totally different, crazier route, which I would personally prefer because it wouldn't be so obvious and typical, really. So it's kind of hard to tell which way it's going to go, and I just hope it's not the typical route. But even if it is, I think it could end up being enjoyable considering it's Falcone and Jim and their former connection that they had actually being close, and Jim's dad being really close to Falcone, and Falcone being like, I respect you so much because I know your dad, but this is my son, and you're making it where it's hard for him to love the woman that he loves. That could be an issue. So it could end up still being enjoyable based on their relationship already. It might not be as typical, but I'm hoping it's something very different. But like I said, I want to know where you guys think it's going, and of course I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.